Welcome to the PharmaVOICE Editor's Take video series, recorded live at the DIA 2014 annual meeting in San Diego, hosted by Taryn Grome, editor of PharmaVOICE. In this episode, Taryn meets with Ramita Tandon, Senior Vice President, Clinical Research, inVentiv Health Clinical.
Welcome to the 50th anniversary of the DIA.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Ramita, I want to know why it is critical for sponsors to include patient recruitment as an essential component of trial planning.
Well, Taryn, what's been interesting is that over the last decade, the industry has been used to or accustomed to developing recruitment plans primarily based on anecdotal knowledge, historical experience, and even gut instinct. There's also been a heavy reliance on investigators to trust them to supply the patients that we needed for trials. But clearly that cottage industry practice is no longer working, and there's a need to do something different. And that's recently been evidenced by some of the statistics that we're seeing on overall site performance on trials. In a recent report conducted by Tufts Center of Drug Development, it was stated that 37% of sites in clinical trials don't even meet enrollment timelines. What's even staggering is that the number of trials in phase 2 and to phase 4, the original timelines are being extended by almost nearly double. So clearly there's a need to do something different, a call to action that views and regards patient recruitment as an essential, what I say, trial DNA, by being more proactive in the development of these strategic recruitment plans that will allow us to find the right sites and engage these patients better to deliver better outcomes for these trials.
Those are excellent insights, and I couldn't agree with you more. How can the use of data support the recruitment strategy?
Well, data can support in 3 key areas. The first step would be to estimate the number of patients that are eligible for a particular protocol. Now, typically the inclusion and exclusion criteria of a protocol can be analyzed by using multiple data sources. For example, electronic medical health records, integrated medical claims databases, or even pharmacy databases. And what that allows us to do is it determines the proportion of patients that are eligible for a particular protocol, but it also pinpoints the geographic location of these patients. The next step is to then zero in on the sites that are going to be able to deliver these patients. Now, it's possible there are some public databases that are available that allow us to see the site's locations, and that will facilitate the matching of the cluster of patients that we identified in the first step. So by matching those sites with those patients, it facilitates a better referral process. And then finally, what I would say maybe more in parallel is to conduct a primary research on patients' perspective. That will allow us to understand who the patient population is for this trial and to be able to create the right messages that will resonate with these patients. Part of that primary research includes the need to understand what's going to appeal or not appeal to the patient population, what's going to motivate them to want to participate in this trial, and what are the best communication vehicles that we can make the outreach to these patients so that they can respond and be better active ambassadors for the trial.
I think those are 3 really key factors. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. But how can you be sure that the recruitment strategy identified will be successful? And then what are your measures for success?
Well, the answer really draws upon, again, data. Certainly leveraging data and analytical tools certainly aids in the decision-making process. Now, running a historical analysis on a recruitment campaign can certainly reveal to us on the best practices of what worked and didn't work in a similar study, for example. But another lever that can be leveraged is what's called statistical modeling. That allows us to then better predict, both from a cost perspective and a time perspective, the number of randomized patients that are going to be needed to fulfill the commitment of a trial. And the statistical modeling, the results of the exercise, even allows us to then become a bit more predictable on the probability of success in meeting a trial's enrollment goals. So the statistical modeling inherently allows us to define success by the time saved for a given trial.
How does this data-driven approach align with industry sponsors' motivation to move from contracting on the volume of work to the value they deliver?
Well, first, we know in the industry right now there's considerable amount of pressure to bring products into the marketplace faster. And as such, time has become a commodity with a specific value. Secondly, certainly predictive analytics, what I described earlier, allows us now at the outset of a trial and during the course of a trial to give us a better understanding our ability to meet the trial's enrollment goals and commitments. And what we're able to do is to deliver value through, number one, providing the sponsors an ability to understand who their patient population is and using that data to inform the commercialization strategy for when the product hits the marketplace. Number two, we're supplying insights on patients' behaviors, and again, that also augments the commercialization strategy for a particular product at launch. And then finally, the data that we gain during the trial, whether it's site performance or understanding who the patients are, will enable us to then design better trials for the future and not only meet enrollment timelines, but also look to accelerate trial timelines.
Ramita, that is fantastic. Thank you so much. Those insights are invaluable, and thank you for sharing them with our audience.
Thank you so much.
Additional Editors Take videos, as well as podcasts, white papers, webinars, and more are available at www.pharmavoice.com.